Welcome back, blade lovers. It's Kubey time again. It's been Kubey time a lot this past year. Probably one of the companies putting out most new folders and in great numbers. So this is the KU322. And that's all I've got. As far as I know, there's no name. Some of the Kubeys do have names, as you know. And Kubey does make knives all the way up into the over 200 realm. You may recall the review I did on the Kubey Beast by Max Kachuk. And that's a very interesting knife. But it's not in this $50 range that we have here. This was $49 on Amazon. And let's take a look before we do any measurements. Let's back out so we can take a better look. It is a hand-filling knife. It is a stout knife, as we say, meaning it is very high in width in the handle and the blade and has a high flat grind, producing a fine edge. And the steel is not overly thick. We have exposed liners that are blackened along with the blade. We have a deep carry clip. And as you can see inside there quite easily, a lot of weight relieving, 2 rows of rectangles on the show side, and then additional weight relieving on the liner locking side. It makes it a light knife. It is not a heavy knife, and we'll find out exactly how heavy it is or light it is in a moment. It is a knife that is made of a D2. It opens with a thumb slot hole, as well as a flipper that doesn't stand up very high, but has a very positive opening. The knife is virtually drop shutty out of the box. Added a small amount of KPL pivot lube, and it didn't even really enhance the action that much. So you're getting a good action, good detent right out of the box. Let's see if we can fail this guy. Not quite. It swung out there. Yep, there we got it that time. It does run on bearings. And I pulled up some information on D2 because D2 these days is getting panned because we're seeing other steels out there on many of the budget knives, such as VG10, AUS10, N690, Sandvik 14C28N, etc. So I'm going to read you quickly on D2 so that maybe we don't disparage it quite as much as we have been. First appeared during World War II, semi-stainless tool steel, very popular even today. Pretty much every steel manufacturer makes it, and it's quite popular with knife makers. Custom and factory alike. Composition-wise, it's almost a stainless steel. It resists rust pretty well, good edge holding, and okay toughness. The famous knife maker, custom knife maker Bob Dozier, is perhaps the most acknowledged expert of D2 steel knives. Now, I have a fixed blade knife, a Microtech crosshair that sells for around $250 to $300, and that's from D2. Its manufacturer goes back a few years, but Microtech was using D2. We're tired of hearing the term D2. That's all it is. We read specs on knives if we like them all day long, and recite the numbers and the names to ourselves, and yet many people never realize the potential out of any steel because they're not working it that hard. They're not resharpening it many times. Certainly, something like an M390 that you're going to pay a pretty penny for is going to be a high-performing steel. So these are more in the budget steel realm, but they're still good steels. I will step down off my soapbox. Okay, let's jump into some specs on this knife, and then we've got a number of comparisons to do of knives that are similar and recently reviewed by me. Overall length is not short. It's I'm going to call it 8 1/8. We're going to call it like a, let's call it an 8.2 overall. We have a blade that's coming in slightly less than 3.5, and right on 3.5 on the cutting edge, because we have a decent choil, as you can see. Nice usable choil, not a huge one, but enough to get your finger in. And they did grind that blade heel forward slightly so that you don't have a point that's going to stick you. As far as the blade stock goes, we've got a 3.1, probably meant to be 3.0. And we've got a 0.56 handle thickness. And we have a weight which should be light, but we'll see. I'll turn the scale on first. Self-calibrates when it starts. Okay, almost 5 ounces, so a little heavier than I thought, even with all that weight relieving. It's 4.996. I'm going to call that 5 ounces. Close enough. Was the expression close enough for government work? I don't know. This has a lovely jade G10 handle scales, also called natural G10. It's the color without any colors added. Easily dyeable, and these scales appear to be easy to remove, although I haven't disassembled this knife yet. You can, if you know what you're doing, middle finger flick it. You can thumb open it or roll it out. And of course, with that demure flipper tab, you can easily light switch it open. And it's got some nice jimping, and notice that it lies ahead of the pivot. And Zelric from Todd Knife and Tool mentions this, that gives you better leverage. If your flipper tab's way back here, it's going to be much harder. So this opens like a champ every single time. For comparisons today, this is often compared in a lot of Instagram videos or postings to the Beluga by Petrified Fish. This is a Nashorn design, his first knife. And notice the similarity in blade profile. Quite similar, a little different treatment of the fuller on the Petrified Fish. Don't have the opening hole, but they both have a fuller. The Kubey has a fuller that connects to the opening hole, but they're both what you would call robust, stocky sort of knives. Here's another one I did a review on recently. This is the Best Tech Operator. Whole different blade, but still a tall blade and about the same length. They're both hand filling. They both have a wide handle, about the same thickness. Let's close that guy up. Too many open knives on the table is not a good thing. Here also is a more robust knife, thicker stock. This is the Dam Designs Hades. And this is going to come in about the same length. So there's a popularity thing going on here. Let's say kind of a design signature for these knives from different manufacturers. Slightly high on the Hades, not quite as high. About as high on the blade, and again flat ground. This one's in a satin, very nice satin, extremely smooth. I'm really liking the Dam Designs knives. And not so similar, but also by Kubey. Here we have the Kubey Carve. Again, same length. Not quite as tall, and a whole different blade geometry with the Tonto. One of my favorite Kubeys, by the way, in the budget area, the Kubey Carve. Not sure of the number on it, but did a review on it, so you can check it out. Let's stack it up against one of the old timers here, Griptilian. So Griptilian is also in the same length category, but not nearly as tall in the handle or in the blade. Whole different blade geometry with that clip point. Another look around. Wide open construction. Small lanyard hole. And these come in 5 different handle and blade variants. I'll put the Amazon link to this in the description if you haven't already seen them. And these just dropped. I waited a few weeks to get this one through Amazon, and I believe they had to wait for the release date from Kubey. But the KU322 is a really nice hand-filling, not overly heavy EDC knife. Beautiful belly forward on that. High grind, flat. 3mm steel. I think this would be a keeper. I'm liking it. And it falls in that nice price range. $49, hard to beat. You can also locate these on White Mountain Knives, I believe. If he doesn't have them now, he should have them soon. He carries a lot of Kubeys. So check him out as well. For now, this old sword, signing out. And as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Be back with you real soon.